call on the government order of the day.
Adjourn debate on the Prime Minister's statement and the amendment proposed to it.
The Honourable Simon Bridges.
Speaker, it's great to be back in Parliament and the government, and I think New Zealand is looking forward to a fantastic year in New Zealand. Can I just wish you every success this year, Mr Speaker, and after I'm sure a refreshing break. Can I also, on a personal note, offer my heartfelt congratulations to Simon O'Connor, the Member of Parliament, National Member of Parliament for Tamaki. Can I actually offer him my thanks as well for his engagement to my sister Rachel? I can confirm there's been no promises of special transport deals for his electorate, but I do wish him very well, as I think stuff.co.new Zealand said yesterday. It's good to keep it in the family, and that's, I think, what we're doing here. Can I just say what is very clear in the pre-Parliament posturing that we've seen this year in politics, the absolute contrast that there is between the parties in this House in the lead-up. And one side, I think we have a government that is very confident, that is optimistic about New Zealand, about its place in the world, that accepts that there are risks, that good people, competent people like Chris Finlayson and Jerry Brownlee, I just said competent, by the way, I didn't go too much further than that, are leading. But we are fundamentally optimistic and confident about where we are going as a country in the world, while the other parties, it seems to me, it doesn't go too far to say, are fearful about our role in the world and want to retrench, want to be inward-looking, want to, in a sense, hark back to those sort of Muldoonist days where the last one out was supposed to turn out the lights. And that is not a vision that New Zealanders, Dennis O'Rourke, want to buy into. They don't want to be defensive. They don't want to be fearful. And I think actually the TPP debate that we have seen is really a symbol, albeit an incredibly important one for New Zealand, of that. And the left, we think on this side of the House, fundamentally miscalculated that. One, because TPP is so good for New Zealand. The benefits for New Zealand and provincial New Zealand are so strong, but also in terms of the politics of it, and we say on that, bring it on. And can I say, as a provincial Member of Parliament representing Tauranga and in the Bay of Plenty, along with Anne Tolley, along with the Trade Minister, who of course we're working so hard on these matters, Todd Muller, an ex-agricultural executive who knows a lot about these things. We are absolutely firm, and the feedback we're getting, I know from talking with Ms Tolley, with the others, is so strong on this TPP. They are so supportive of it in the Bay of Plenty. And I know as well that that's the message going out from provincial New Zealand all around the country, and that's why we hold the seats. And that's why the MP for Napier, who's not here right now, but the MP for Napier, that's why the MP for West Coast will be sheepish on this issue, because I know the feedback they will be getting from their constituents. And if you just take the Western Bay of Plenty, where I reside, it runs on an increasing number of things, but a small number of things. Sue Moroney's laughing. I hope she stays for the speech, because I've got a few things to say to her a little later on. But in the Western Bay of Plenty, kiwi fruit going so strongly, they are at one in supporting TPP. They know that it's worth $6,000 a grower, $1,000 a hectare. And it's not just those areas. Nathan Guy talked about wine in this House in answer to questions just a little while ago. That's not something, at least in terms of production, that people think about when they think about the Western Bay of Plenty. But there are wine labels in our area that are really, and have been trying for years to get into the US. They're very excited about the tariffs coming off in this area. And the flow-on effects in a buoyant economy. Tomorrow, in Tauranga, I will be opening a new addition to a very substantial auto dealership a new part of that. That is really a symptom of a buoyant economy where people are doing well, and the effects of strong kiwi fruit growth, property construction are flowing through. And so over and above all of that though, can I say, and just back everything the Prime Minister has said, and reinforce what a busy program and agenda this government on this side of the House has this year. Certainly it's true in my portfolios. I'm really excited about, and true in Chris Finlayson's. That's just because he likes to be busy, but you know, enough of that. We're in transport, in aviation, in maritime, in land transport, also in energy. We will be putting bills before this House making very good progress. And they are, Mr O'Rourke, great portfolios, because unlike Mr O'Rourke, where it's all talk on this side of the House, we are a government that is doing significant infrastructure. We are the government and the party, the National Party of Infrastructure. We're getting on with the job in an unprecedented fashion with quality investment all over the country, Mr O'Rourke, from the top of Northland right down to the bottom of the South Island. If you want some evidence of that, I suggest that members look at the Land Transport Fund program and funding over the last several years. Actually, from around $1 billion in the early 2000s, I'll come to that, around $1 billion in the 2000s, early 2000s, to over $3 billion per annum last year, consistently over $2.5 billion going into land transport in this country. Recently, actually last couple of years, over $3 billion. Whether that's rail, you talk about, the member over there talks about rail, the CRL. Where we are bringing forward the business case and getting on with that, the East-West connection, a $1.25 to $1.8 billion game changer for not just Auckland, but actually industry and heavy industry in this country. We've got the Auckland alignment project going along. Bill English and I working on that to get alignment on transport projects to make a difference in that big city for the long term. And where, Mr O'Rourke, where your party is constantly harping on about regional development, and we're doing the work in this. Shall I list the projects? Shall I list the projects we are doing with Crown funding? Kawarau, or as they say it down there, Kawara Falls Bridge in the Queenstown area, crying out for that for decades, and that is true of all of these projects. Tiramakau on the west coast, the Minga Bluff to Rough Creek project in Canterbury, the Akarama Curves in Northland, Mr O'Rourke, the State Highway 35 improvements that we've done and we've delivered in Gisborne on the east coast, where they were, Anne Tolley knows, so grateful to this government for getting on and doing that. Motu coming, Norman B realignment, Mr Speaker, a very excellent project that has been advocated for strongly. Many others, I won't go through them all, too many to name, but in cycleways, where the left says, you know, we're doing nothing, they talked. We are delivering the most significant set of investments in that area ever in New Zealand's history. The member says slowly, over 3 years, $333 million. And in rail, again, a lot of talk in the 2000s. It is this side of the House that has delivered billions and billions of dollars in infrastructure. So whilst the rhetoric on the other side is we could have done it better, that's what it descends to. Well, Mr O'Rourke, would have, could have, should have, we are. We are the government of infrastructure that is getting on with the job in this country, that is delivering projects that are delivering better safety, better resilience and much greater economic productivity so that New Zealand is backed in this area. Sue Moroney, can I finish on you? I think it's absolutely disgraceful. I think it's absolutely disgraceful that this member does not back, indeed opposes the Waikato Expressway around her electorate, one of the most significant game changers in the Upper North Island that the people universally back. If the member wants to know why she's never been an electorate MP, it's right there. Unlike on this side of the House, where we are backing infrastructure and making a massive difference to this country, 2016 will be a great year for New Zealand and for making progress on projects all over this great country.